Well, my friends, it's another day on our little blue planet, and as always, the world's storybook is brimming with tales that are as urgent as they are dramatic. Let's settle in for today's journey through the news that's shaping our lives, our countries, and our shared humanity. There's a heavy cloud hanging over Washington, D.C. this morning. The city that so often plays host to history found itself at the center of a tragedy that's rippled far beyond its city limits. Two young Israeli embassy staff members, Yaron and Sarah, were shot and killed just outside the Capitol Jewish Museum, mere days before they were to become engaged. The attack, which unfolded late Wednesday night, has shaken diplomatic circles and sent tremors through communities here and abroad. Reports suggest the suspect shouted words that have echoed painfully in recent years. And while authorities are still piecing together the full motive, concerns about rising anti-Semitism and its impact on international relations have become impossible to ignore. The city's leaders have spoken out, and the world is watching as the FBI and local police work to ensure that justice is served. It's one of those moments that reminds us all how fragile peace can be, and how easily hate can fracture the world we share. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, two figures who rarely need an introduction, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, found themselves on the phone, reportedly discussing the ongoing war in Ukraine. Their conversation is seen as significant, given both men's influence on global politics and the immense stakes of the conflict. The war in Ukraine continues to shape borders, economies, and alliances in ways both expected and surprising, and any dialogue between major powers is bound to be scrutinized for signs of breakthrough or stalemate. The world is waiting to see if this conversation will lead to any meaningful change or simply reinforce the status quo. Meanwhile, in the vast waters of the South China Sea, a new chapter in an old story is unfolding. The Philippines has condemned the Chinese Coast Guard's use of a water cannon against one of its research vessels in contested waters. This latest incident is another reminder of the simmering tensions in the region, where every move is watched, every action dissected, and every claim to territory is fiercely defended. The Philippines' strong response highlights how these disputes are not just about land or sea, but about sovereignty, identity, and the future of a region at the crossroads of world power. From the waters of the Pacific, let's turn our attention to the Korean Peninsula, where North Korea is making headlines for a ship accident and the subsequent arrests of those deemed responsible. Satellite images are also reportedly showing aid sites in Gaza, but the main focus remains on Pyongyang's strict approach to failure and discipline. The regime's willingness to punish those involved in a failed launch is a stark reminder of the pressures and dangers faced by those living and working under its rule. It's a world apart from the freedoms many of us take for granted, and yet it's a reality for millions. Across the oceans, in the Indian Ocean, a long-standing territorial dispute has taken a dramatic turn. The United Kingdom has officially agreed to cede sovereignty over the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, marking the end of a contentious chapter and opening the door to new possibilities. For decades, this arc of islands has been at the heart of debates about colonialism, self-determination, and justice. Today's decision is a reminder that even the most entrenched disputes can be resolved, given enough time, patience, and international will. Back in the Middle East, the head of the World Health Organization has made an emotional plea for Israel to show mercy in Gaza, citing the immense suffering of civilians. The WHO chief called for peace and humanity in a conflict that has stretched the limits of endurance for so many. The words resonated deeply, not just with those directly affected, but with anyone who believes in the possibility and the necessity of compassion in times of war. Closer to home, in the world of education and diplomacy, former President Trump has made a surprising move, ordering that Harvard University be barred from enrolling foreign students. The implications of this decision are significant, not just for Harvard, but for the broader landscape of international education and the ties that bind nations together through knowledge and exchange. In a world where learning knows no borders, this is a development that will be watched closely by students, educators, and policymakers around the globe. In Bangladesh, political winds are shifting once again. Muhammad Yunus, the chief of the country's interim government, is reportedly planning to resign amid widening rifts and tensions. His possible departure is a sign of the challenges facing a nation that has weathered its share of storms, both political and natural. It's a reminder that leadership is never easy, and that the search for stability is a constant struggle for many countries. Far to the north in Mongolia, protests against the prime minister are ongoing and could lead to a government shakeup. The demonstrations are a sign of political instability in a region that's often overlooked, but whose fate matters deeply to its people and to the broader geopolitics of Asia. The voices of the Mongolian people are making themselves heard, and the world is listening. Finally, the United Nations has issued a stark warning. The international framework for protecting civilians in conflict zones is collapsing. More than 36,000 civilian deaths were recorded in 2024, and the UN is sounding The alarm about a surge in sexual violence and the erosion of protections that were once taken for granted. It's a sobering reminder of how much work remains to be done if we are to safeguard the most vulnerable among us. As we reach the end of today's journey, I'm reminded of how interconnected our world is and how each of these stories is a thread in the larger tapestry of our shared experience. The news can be overwhelming, but it's also a call to pay attention, to care, and to believe that even in the darkest moments, there's always room for hope. Before I sign off, I'd like to invite you to join the conversation. If today's stories resonated with you, please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from Green Ground. For more information and links, be sure to check the description. And as always, thank you for listening. Your voice matters, and together we can make the world a little brighter, one story at a time.